marketing tool. It is, I mean, make sure you understand that it's for it, the client is going to learn a lot, but the purpose is to help the client understand what is covered in the policy, and also to let them know what a public adjuster is, and really have them start thinking in things that they've never thought of before, at least very rarely. But if you're going to do that, you've got to make sure that you don't make it boring. And oftentimes I make it boring because I make it too long. So what you have to do is you've got to tighten it up. So I think that the primary presentation doesn't need to have a lot of redundant slides. And so I've cut out some of the redundant slides, and I've tried to tighten it up to a point where it's 11 to 15 minutes long. Yeah, Mike, that's a big difference from the way you and I started. I know.
Yeah, I know. It's something I have to get better at.
And honestly, I thought about you while I was putting this together. Mike and I have a tendency of liking to share what we know. And when we know a lot, we want to share a lot. And that is not necessarily what the client needs to hear. So we have to be more sensitive to what the client needs versus what we want to share. And that's, I think, true with almost all of us, is that when you know something that's different and that you're trying to teach people something, it's real easy to kind of go overboard on it. So what I want to do is I want to go through real quick and go through the slides and talk a minimum on each of the slides as to what gets said. On the first slide, I basically just want to make sure they know that we're not selling them anything. And that's what I say on this slide is, hey, we're not selling anything. What we're going to do is try to let you know what the policy covers, what it doesn't, and make sure you understand the difference between this and, let's say, an automobile policy that you might have as well. So to that point, one of the things, and then I only talk about really one item here, and that's the middle one, the deductible. For example, on a car, when you have damage occur, you have to pay the deductible to the body shop. That doesn't happen with a home. It's an amount that actually is deducted from the total claim amount. And that's about all I'm going to say on this slide. Then we talk to the fact that when you do own your home, the insurance company is the one that comes out and determines whether or not the damage is covered. It's the insurance company that comes out, determines what they're going to cover. It's the insurance company that comes out and determines, how much they're going to cover. It's the insurance company that comes out and determines when they're going to cover it. Well, in that whole thing, who's looking out for you? And that's basically what I say on this. And then I say, it's the public adjuster. That's who does it. Public adjusters are here to make sure that we become an advocate for our clients, because insurance companies don't pay properly. We make sure that insurance companies treat their clients properly and pay them fairly. And then I say, let's go into an example. Now, I have really changed my tune on this slide. I used to go through each of these pictures and all that stuff. Now what I'm doing is I'm saying, during a windstorm, shingles get blown off of the roof and rain comes into the house and damages the house. And that's it. Okay. That's it. Then I say, and this is somewhat new in what I've in my presentation, but I found that it's effective. I'll ask, do you know that the insurance company has no responsibility to tell you what's broken? They're the only ones that are coming out on site to determine the loss, and yet they don't have a responsibility to tell you what needs to be repaired. Abahi, do you have a problem with that?
No, do you wait on that answer?
What's that?
Do you wait on that answer?
Yes, I do. I want them to interject at that. I want some I want some feedback from that. Like, wow, no, I didn't realize that. Or they don't have oftentimes it's an incredulous kind of response. But this is true, guys. The insurance company has no responsibility. So what are they going to do? They're going to fix what you tell them is broken. Well, as a typical homeowner, I know that my shingles got blown off the roof. So the insurance company is going to repair those 2 or 3 shingles that got blown off the roof. I know that my master bedroom got damaged. So the insurance company is going to put new drywall up on the ceiling. They'll seal it. They'll paint it. I know that my carpet got wet. They'll dry it, deodorize it. In the dining room, I know the same thing happened with the ceiling and walls there. They'll fix that. And then with that floor, 1 piece of wood got damaged. So what they might say to me is they might say, Paul, no flooring company, as you might imagine, Paul, no flooring company is going to come out and work on your home for 1 piece of wood. So we really can't bring a flooring company out for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to pay you some money to compensate you for this loss. And then you can have somebody come out. You can do it yourself, whatever you'd like. But we want to compensate you for this loss and we'll give you some money. And that's their claim. Now, that's basically what I say on this slide, guys. It's basically it. Now, is this a good settlement? And of course, you know that the answer is going to be no.
No.
Here's what we think should be covered in this damage. 23 line items versus 7 line items. And these line items are more complete. Now, Steve has been training to basically go through all 323 line items. I can't see doing that and keeping this to 11 minutes. It's going to get really, really long. So here's what I do is I go through line item 1, 2, 6, and 11, and that's it.
Do you have any more line items for exterior other than
no, this is basically a pretty Matthew's
basic.
background is roofing, so he knows that there's a lot more involved, but we're just kind of giving a brief kind of 30,000 foot view of this.
Because we're leaving money on the table.
Well, this isn't, if this wasn't a real estimate, you're right.
Yeah.
But all we're trying to do is get the point across to the client, right?
Yep.
You don't have to have the details. You don't have to have all the details in place in order to get the point across to the client. So what I'll do is I'll say, you really can't, put a couple of shingles in on an older roof and call it a day. They're going to be mismatched. You're going to break the ceiling or the seal that attaches the shingles, and that's never going to get repaired again. It's never going to come into place. So the insurance company is going to damage your roof. We believe that the only way of replacing that is to actually replace the entire elevation. And again, I don't want to get into the details on whether or not that's always true or not. For the most part, 90% of your clients are going to understand that and be okay with that definition right there for that line item. Then I'm going to say, well, the insurance company didn't even tell you about the insulation, but if the water came in through the roof into the master bedroom, it had to go through the attic, and the insulation is in the attic. So that means that got wet. Wet insulation will never work again, so it has to be replaced. Another thing I didn't know is that when carpet gets wet, it's permanently damaged. Okay. So this is a good line item to talk about because a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think they can just dry their carpet and they're okay. That water is going to start eroding the glue that holds the backing to the carpet immediately. And you can't stop that process from happening. Chemically, it starts happening and it's going to continue happening even after the carpet's dry. So that's called delamination. It's going to destroy the carpet sooner versus the later. And so the carpet actually needs to be replaced. You can't just repair it. And if you're going to do that, now you've got to move all the furniture out. That wasn't even part of the estimate. That's something that's now going to have to come out of your pocket. Well, we think that the insurance company should pay for it and it should come out of the insurance company's pocket. Same thing holds true in the dining room. that the one piece of wood, you're right. If it was only one piece of wood, an insurance, a flooring company wouldn't come out, but that's not what it is. The whole floor needs to be sanded and stained, and a flooring company will come out to do that. So that's what I do here on this slide. I then say, and I changed the slide, Abahi. I like this a lot better than the way it's the standard slide is. What we want to do is we want to make sure that the insurance company pays you what they should be paying you, not necessarily what they want to pay you. Okay. And then that goes very easily into Smart Money Magazine did a study, showed that 80%, blah, blah, blah. So you go through this, then you go through this with the state of Florida. And the key thing here, and you're going to have to write this down, but 600% is equal to 17 cents on the dollar. And the reason why that's important is because this one is 25 cents on the dollar. So if you have 25 cents and 17 cents on the dollar, later on in this presentation, you're going to talk about our fee. And it's going to make our fee, it puts our fee into context so that when someone is only going to be getting 17 cents or 25 cents on the dollar, being able to get 65 cents on the dollar is like getting 3-4 times the compensation, even after our fee is covered. So you see, by using 17 cents on the dollar on this slide, it sets you up better for being able to talk about our fee later on. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Nabahi, I know you now know you heard this from me a couple of months ago, and are you using this now or no?
Absolutely. I do use it. It makes it translate, someone, it translates simply to the untrained homeowner. So, or a mathematician, right? So most people aren't good at numbers, but they can understand the difference between 17 cents and getting a whole dollar.
Yep.
Right.
Vanessa?
I'll be honest with you. I didn't quite get it.
Okay.
That's okay. So if you, this is almost good enough. I appreciate you guys saying that. So I want to put things in a context where people can understand what they're getting from the insurance company and what they get from us later on in the presentation. Okay. So this slide says 25 cents on the dollar. Everybody got that? Now, what ends up happening
Hold on, I'm getting it.
on this slide, we don't talk about cents on the dollar. We talk about a percentage. Well, that doesn't make sense to anything. That doesn't relate to the dollar. So what I want to do is I want to make this relative to the dollar as well. So if you divide $1 by 6, Tanya, can you mute yourself?
I do it.
Okay. So if you,
The way chart that I'm confused.
You don't have a
I'm
co-host?
confused.
yeah, I do, but he seems to be asleep at the wheel. All right. So I don't want to have people confused about 600%, what that means. Well, 600% is the same thing as 6 times. All right. So if you divide $1 by 6, right? 6 times. So if you divide $1 by 6, you end up with 17 cents. And that's how I come up with the 17 cents.
So if it helps, that $13.91 that everyone sees there, that's basically saying, okay, well, without a public adjuster, you're going to get 17 cents there. Now, if you're using a public adjuster, this 9,379, that's a whole dollar.
Right.
So if you're looking at, oh boy, what do I have to eat? I could buy a hot dog with $1, or I'm going to have to get 6 other people to split this hot dog, and I'm only going to get a 1/6 of it. Then that's what it's like not using a public adjuster. So one bite of a hot dog maybe versus a whole hot dog.
Oh,
That's a great, I like that, Abahi. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope that helped. Tanya, did that help you? I think it was somebody else too.
No, it was Tanya.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it was Sonia. It
Vanessa,
helped
did that
me.
help?
Yeah, it helped me.
Good. So I
oh,
would,
shit, I get it.
I would highly recommend that you remember, the 17 cents because it helps
Mhm.
out on the back end a lot. On this slide, I've taken it down to two different clients. The church where we had a denial and we got the church $187,000. And basically what I'm doing on this slide is basically saying that we can reopen a closed claim. So what I want the client to know is that if they did have a closed claim, they may have money waiting for them with the insurance company. And they need me to get that money for
How
them.
are we,
All right.
how are we able to reopen a claim?
Our license allows us
How
to
are we
do that.
re,
So our license allows us to reopen a claim. So we then re-engage with the insurance company on behalf of our client. And we put a new estimate in front of the insurance company as to what we think that claim is worth. And the insurance company has to talk to us. Does that help,
Okay.
Tanya?
So basically, it does. So basically, like I have a friend and okay, they got hit by the I don't remember which hurricane it was off the top of my head, but they had an insurance adjuster come out, blah blah blah. What they got didn't cover the expenses, but they've already settled it. Everything's already done. It's been a couple of years back, obviously. But I could go to her and approach her and tell her I could be her advocate and probably get her more money than what she was given.
If it had happened
correct?
within within the year, yes, you could have done that. But after a couple of years,
Okay.
it's too long. It's too old.
Yeah, what is right?
Yeah, but
Right.
after 2 or
So
3
what
years,
is the
no.
time frame? What is the time frame?
1 year,
Like say somebody's house caught on fire
1 year.
a year ago. 1 year, okay.
Can you extend it
What's
though,
the
Paul?
1
I
year's the
thought-
statute?
Go ahead, Matthew. What's that?
Yeah, you have 365 from the date of the filed claim, right?
Well, yeah, it depends on the state. So
Yeah.
in some states, it's 2 years. Some states it's other. But the big thing is that the damage still has to be visible and workable, visible for the insurance agent and or the insurance adjuster. And after a year or so, it sometimes is difficult. So, all right, let's move on. On this one, it's a hailstorm, Allstate, which is my favorite insurance company. He says with his tongue in his cheek, they only paid $370. We got them almost $12,000. On this slide, I speak to the fact that we handle 10,000 claims per year. We have a 99% claims handling satisfaction rate, and we handle residential and commercial clients. That's it. Then I start talking about what's covered in a policy. Now, what I normally say is that the client has, or most clients have, what's called an all risk policy, which means, and then I'll try to have the client write this down. Any physical damage that's sudden and accidental. 4 words. Physical damage, sudden, accidental. So what does that mean? Well, fire, but not just catastrophic fire, any kind of fire. Smoke, again, not just catastrophic. It could mean that you forgot to open up the flue on the fireplace. Lightning, explosions, wind, both direct and indirect, rain. Even if it's coming through an open window, it's covered if it was a mistake or an accident. Ice and snow is covered. Burglary is covered. hail, tornadoes, hurricanes. This is called an accidental discharge of water. Anytime water leaves the plumbing system, it's a covered loss. By the way, I'll go through maybe one example of that, like, when your toilet overflows, or I'll say, when you are filling the sink and you forget to turn off the water. I'll use one example. Theft and vandalism, including Halloween. Flooring is an expensive part of the house. And all three pictures here show examples of damage to a floor that will require the floor to be replaced. In the first picture, you've got the high heels, which will indent the floor. You've also got moisture getting into the floor, and you may be able to scratch the floor with the glass may scratch the floor. In the middle picture, that's the delaminated carpet. That's what happens when carpet gets wet. And then the third picture is delamination of a laminated floor. That's it. That's all I say on this slide. And then on this one, I say, stupid things happen in our homes as well, whether it's spilling bleach on carpet, dropping, and with the cracked tile, we don't use that term anymore. But what I will say is I'll say something like dropping an iron skillet on a ceramic tile floor, or putting the grill too close to the siding. Metro, 28 years old. I sometimes will say that we're vet owned. If I'm really in a hurry, I'll leave that off and I'll just say 28 years old, and we're the only company that operates nationally. And I may leave it at those two. Okay. I may not say the other two items on this. I'll let the client read it.
Are you A+ at the Better Business Bureau?
We get to that later. That's in another slide. Yeah, I don't talk about that in this presentation. Whenever we help a client with a claim, we send a net to Africa to protect kids from malaria, and we plant a tree. We have a golf outing for the MS Society every summer. We do, and then we provide funding for Operation Enduring Warrior every year. And then I'll spend a little bit more time on Feeding America. I'll say, Richard, if we handle a claim, or if you appreciate this presentation and feel like you've got a friend that could benefit from the same presentation, if you share that name, that person's name with our trainee, we will feed someone in your area through Feeding America in your name. So not only do you help your neighbor or your friend by getting them to know their policy, you're helping the trainee start their business, and you're helping somebody who can't help themselves by helping them get a meal that night. So we'll do that one for one. For every name that you give our trainee, we will feed someone through Feeding America. A lot of people love this charity and love the way we work with them. So spend a little bit of extra time on that one, because you want the referrals at the end. We are in business for 28 years. We're licensed in 48 states. There's 2 states that don't have licensing, and we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau in each of the states. When we help a client, and you see now, this is the slide that then rings back to that other slide where we were talking about the percentages. When we help a client on a small claim, our fee is like a lawyer at 35%. However, unlike a lawyer, we reduce our fee size on larger losses. So we're down to 10% on any loss over $100,000. And then I will go through and I'll say, just to put this into perspective, Mr. or Ms. Client, if you remember back, if you try to handle the claim on your own, you're going to end up with 17 cents or 25 cents on the dollar. Here, by working with us, you end up with 65 cents on the dollar. So you're getting 2, 3, maybe even 4 times the compensation you would have had you tried to handle the claim on your own, even after our fee is covered by the proceeds from the claim. Anybody have any question about that? So this is the second half of that first slide that we talked about, where we had that 600% thing.
Oh, I'm thankful for this, because I think I've been, do you ask that question at the end? Like, you go through that with our fee costs and then you ask, does anybody have any questions? I
Yeah.
heard John do that earlier. on a recording. I hadn't been doing that. And
Yeah. He actually
and-
got that from me.
okay, good to know. Good to know. We share, everybody. Trust me, I've learned from everybody in this business, and I love that. But I think that may have been, maybe I'm glazing over it too quick or so for some of the PCRs I've experienced. But I like the asking and letting them kind of absorb that what you just said, and I like how you delivered that. I think that'll be successful for me.
Excellent. Anybody else have any question on this? Okay, so then we get into the point. Well, let me ask you, did in fact you waste your time, or was this a good meeting? And everyone says it's a great meeting. Well, do you know anybody else who could benefit from this? I promise that we'll give them the same information, and I'll charge them the same amount. And they always smile because this is a free service. So they always like the fact that it's the same charge. All right. And then at that point, the next step is to go through the policy. So all of this can be done. The last time I did it was yesterday, and it took me 14 minutes. I went through this entire slide deck in 14 minutes. Now, some of you may be saying, yeah, you can do that in 14 minutes, Paul, but I'm not sure I can do it. If that's the case, then what you may want to do is use the pre-recorded version. There's no rule that says you have to be the one presenting. I'm actually going to do it as well and put it up on my YouTube channel so that if you want to use me instead of the corporate presentation, you'll be able to do that. But use a pre-recorded version of it if you want. The only thing that really has to be done by you is the policy review, the actual policy review. The other thing you can do to sometimes make these more, to make these happen faster, is to give the video, if you're going to do a pre-recorded version of it, give it to them in advance of the meeting time. And then we can spend the entire meeting time going through their policy and then doing an inspection. So there's no rule that says we have to do the presentation at exactly the same time we do the policy review. Traditionally, we've done it that way, but damn tradition. Why should we worry about that? Let's get, what's going to work for that client. Some people don't have the time. And so if they can get the record or, get this presentation done before they actually meet with us, then we can spend the time on the policy and then have a look around the home before they run out of time. Mike, what do you think about that idea?
Sounds good.
Robert? Yes. Abahi, what do you think about, have you ever done the presentation separately from the policy review itself?
Yeah, actually, I think all of the start of the pandemic, I played the video. I'm not a big talker. I don't know why people think I'm like this great, sociable person. I'm super introverted, and it just worked for me. I would set the appointment times. I would build the connection in the beginning, and I would say, hey, listen, to save us a little bit of time, let me play this 12-minute video for you, because I can get long with it. I get really, really passionate about what I do. So some of my stories get a little long. How about I play this 12-minute video, and then I'll come back on the other side with any questions. And I would play the video. I'm also an adjuster, so I would have 12 minutes to do some additional works and a few additional emails. At the end of the video, I come back. So tell me, what did you like best? And then we just keep it moving from there. It would never fit. I mean, it works just, it's no like this does better or that does better. It's 80% across the board, whether you use it or you do it yourself.
You're a lot more outgoing than I am, Ibahi.
I fake
You
it
are
till I
not
make it.
introverted.
I fake it till I make it.
I guess.
Hey, Brandon, good to have you on the call.
I know. It's true.
So just a little bit of housekeeping. I apologize, everybody, for taking your time on this. Brandon, can you chat me your email address and your name? Because you were not registered for the meeting this afternoon, and so I couldn't get back at you.
Yeah, I seen that. I was trying to get in earlier and I couldn't, and I clicked the link right now and it let me in right now. So I'm sorry for being probably
No, but
more
I just want to get some contact info from you so I can reach back.